So Adam. And thus Eve to him replied, O glorious trial of exceeding love, illustrious evidence, example high, engaging me to emulate, but short of thy perfection, how shall I attain, Adam, from whose dear side I boast me sprung, and gladly of our union hear thee speak, one heart, one soul in both, whereof good proof this day affords, declaring thee resolved, rather than death or aught than death more dread shall separate us, linked in love so dear, to undergo with me one guilt, one crime, if any be, of tasting this fair fruit, whose virtue, for of good still good proceeds, direct or by occasion, hath presented this happy trial of thy love, which else so eminently never had been known. Were it I thought death menaced would ensue this my attempt, I would sustain alone the worst, and not persuade thee, rather die deserted, than oblige thee with a fact pernicious to thy peace, chiefly assured, remarkably so late of thy so true, so faithful love unequalled. But I feel far otherwise the event, not death but life augmented, opened eyes, new hopes, new joys, taste so divine, that what of sweet before hath touched my sense, flat seems to this, and harsh. On my experience, Adam, freely taste, and fear of death deliver to the winds. So saying, she embraced him, and for joy tenderly wept, much won that he his love had so ennobled, as of choice to incur divine displeasure for her sake, or death in recompense, for such compliance bad, such recompense best merits. From the bough she gave him of that fair enticing fruit with liberal hand. He scrupled not to eat against his better knowledge, not deceived, but fondly overcome with female charm. Earth trembled from her entrails, as again in pangs, and nature gave a second groan. Sky lowered, and muttering thunder, some sad drops wept at completing of the mortal sin, original. While Adam took no thought, eating his fill, nor Eve to iterate her former trespass feared, the more to soothe him with her loved society, that now as with new wine intoxicated both, they swim in mirth, and fancy that they feel divinity within them breeding wings, wherewith to scorn the earth. But that false fruit far other operation first displayed. Carnal desire inflaming, he on Eve began to cast lascivious eyes, she him as wantonly repaid. In lust they burn, till Adam thus 'gan Eve to dalliance move. Eve, now I see thou art exact of taste, and elegant of sapience no small part, since to each meaning savour we apply, and palate call judicious. I the praise yield thee, so well this day thou hast purveyed. Much pleasure we have lost while we abstain from this delightful fruit, nor known till now true relish tasting. If such pleasure be in things to us forbidden, it might be wished for this one tree had been forbidden 10. But come, so well refreshed, now let us play, as meet is after such delicious fare. For never did thy beauty since the day I saw thee first, and wedded thee adorned with all perfections, so inflame my sense with ardor to enjoy thee, fairer now than ever, bounty of this virtuous tree. So said he, and forbore not glance or toy of amorous intent, well understood, of Eve, whose eye darted contagious fire. Her hand he seized, and to a shady bank, thick overhead with verdant roof embowered, he led her nothing loath. Flowers were the couch, pansies and violets and asphodel and hyacinth, earth's freshest, softest lap. There they their fill of love and love disport, took largely, of their mutual guilt the seal, the solace of their sin, till dewy sleep oppressed them, wearied with their amorous play. Soon as the force of that fallacious fruit, that with exhilarating vapour bland about their spirits had played, and inmost powers made air, was now exhaled, and grosser sleep, bred of unkindly fumes, with conscious dreams, encumbered, now had left them, up they rose, as from unrest, and each the other viewing, soon found their eyes how opened, and their minds how darkened. Innocence that as a veil had shadowed them from knowing ill was gone. Just confidence and native righteousness and honor from about them, naked left to guilty shame, he covered, but his robe uncovered more. So rose the Danite strong, Herculean Samson, from the harlot lap of Philistinian Dalilah, and waked shorn of his strength. They destitute and bare of all their virtue, silent, and in face confounded long they sat, as struck and mute, till Adam, though not less than Eve abashed, at length gave utterance to these words constrained. O Eve, in evil hour thou didst give ear to that false worm, of whomsoever taught to counterfeit man's voice, true in our fall, false in our promised rising. Since our eyes opened we find indeed, and find we know both good and evil, good lost and evil got, bad fruit of knowledge, if this be to know, which leaves us naked thus, of honor void, of innocence, of faith, of purity, our wonted ornaments now soiled and stained, and in our faces evident the signs of foul concupiscence, whence evil store. Even shame, the last of evils, of the first be sure then. How shall I behold the face henceforth of God or angel, erst with joy and rapture so oft beheld, those heavenly shapes will dazzle now this earthly, with their blaze insufferably bright. O might I here in solitude live savage, in some glade obscured, where highest woods impenetrable to star or sunlight spread their umbrage broad and brown as evening. Cover me, ye pines, ye cedars with innumerable boughs, hide me, where I may never see them more. But let us now, as in bad plight, devise what best may for the present serve to hide the parts of each from each of other, that seem most to shame obnoxious and unseemliest seen. Some tree whose broad smooth leaves, together sewed and girdled on our loins, may cover round those middle parts, that this newcomer shame there sit not, and reproach us as unclean. So counselled he, and both together went into the thickest wood. There soon they chose the fig tree, not that kind for fruit renowned, but such as at this day to Indians known, in Malabar or Deccan spreads her arms, branching so broad and long that in the ground the bended twigs take root, and daughters grow about the mother tree. A pillared shade, high overarched and echoing walks between. There oft the Indian herdsman, shunning heat, shelters in cool and tends his pasturing herds, at loopholes cut through thickest shade. Those leaves they gathered, broad as Amazonian targe, and with what skill they had together sewed to gird their waist, vain covering if to hide their guilt and dreaded shame. Oh, how unlike that to that first naked glory, such of late Columbus found the Americans so girt with feathered cincture, naked else and wild among the trees, on isles and woody shores, thus fenced, and as they thought their shame in part covered, but not at rest or ease of mind, they sat them down to weep. Nor only tears rained at their eyes, but high winds worse within began to rise, high passions, anger, hate, mistrust, suspicion, discord, and shook sore their inward state of mind. Calm region once and full of peace, now tossed and turbulent, for understanding ruled not, and the will heard not her lore, both in subjection now to sensual appetite, who from beneath, usurping over sovereign reason, claimed superior sway. From thus distempered breast, Adam estranged in look and altered style, speech intermitted, thus to Eve renewed. Wouldst thou hast hearkened to my words, and stayed with me, as I besought thee when that strange desire of wandering, this unhappy morn, I know not whence possessed thee, we had then remained still happy, not as now despoiled of all our good, shamed, naked, miserable. Let none henceforth seek needless cause to approve the faith they owe. When earnestly they seek such proof, conclude, they then begin to fail. To whom, soon moved with touch of blame, thus Eve, What words have passed thy lips, Adam severe? Imputest thou that to my default or will of wandering, as thou calledst it, which who knows, but might as ill have happened, thou being by, or to thyself perhaps, hadst thou been there, or hear the attempt, thou couldst not have discerned fraud in the serpent, speaking as he spake, no ground of enmity between us known, why he should mean me ill, or seek to harm, was I to have never parted from thy side, as good have grown there still a lifeless rib, being as I am. Why didst not thou the head command me absolutely not to go, going into such danger as thou saidst? Too facile then thou didst not much gainsay, nay didst permit, approve, and fair dismiss. Hadst thou been firm and fixed in thy dissent, neither had I transgressed, nor thou with me. To whom then first incensed Adam replied, Is this the love? Is this the recompense of mine to thee, ingrateful Eve, expressed immutable when thou wert lost, not I, who might have lived and enjoyed immortal bliss, yet willingly chose rather death with thee? And am I now upbraided as the cause of thy transgressing? Not enough severe, it seems, in thy restraint. What could I more? I warned thee, I admonished thee, foretold the danger, and the lurking enemy that lay in wait. Beyond this had been force, and force upon free will hath here no place, but confidence then bore thee on, secure either to meet no danger or to find matter of inglorious trial, and perhaps I also erred in overmuch admiring what seemed in thee so perfect that I thought no evil durst attempt thee. But I rue that error now, which is become my crime, and thou the accuser. Thus it shall befall him who to worth in women over-trusting lets her will rule, restraint she will not brook, and left to herself if evil thence ensue, she first his weak indulgence will accuse. Thus they, in mutual accusations, spent the fruitless hours, but neither self-condemning, and of their vain contest appeared no end.